Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. We are on a special episode this week, 84. Last episode of the year, and this is Altai, joined by...
Omer?
Oh, and Matt. Yeah, right.
That's
I
it.
forgot.
We just discussed there's no Sean or
I
Shu this
know.
week.
I know. It's just, you know how we said last week that when somebody's missing, just all off, right?
It ruins
gets thrown
everything.
off. I didn't hear Sean say something, and my brain didn't say, okay, it's time to say my name.
Mm-hmm.
Say my name, say my name.
All right, so in case people are curious, Sean is with family in New Jersey, while Shu, I think, is on her way to spend some time in Vegas with her mom, and I might see her later to hang out. But I think beyond that, we just have us three this week, the three amigos here, the three manly men of the podcast.
Dedicated.
Yes,
Pro
that's the
gamers
word, dedicated.
right here.
All right, I think we have the best attendance award too, us three.
I think we do.
Yeah, so the three dedicated people are here. And because Gumby's not here, we don't have a proper weekly raid. And instead, we'll go with how was your holidays? And more importantly, how was your Steam holidays with the Steam holiday sale or winter sale? Did you guys pick anything up for you guys?
Yeah, I picked up Grand Theft Auto 5 finally because it went on sale for half off, and I also picked up Rise of the Tomb Raider because it was half off.
All right.
For me, rather than a Steam pickup, I actually did some heresy. My brother got a PS4 for his birthday, or I got him one, and he's been playing Final Fantasy on it. And I, on the other hand, kind of went crazy with all the console exclusives I've missed out on, being a PC gamer. So I have no intention of buying any cross-platform games for the PS4, but I did purchase Until Dawn, and I beat that with my brother. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I bought the Nathan Drake collection because that quadrilogy is exclusive on PlayStation. And I mentioned earlier I had Ratchet & Clank. So those are the games I bought this holiday season. So far, I'm very happy with the ones I did buy. And they were all very cheap. I paid like $10, $15 for each one. So yeah, that was my haul.
So you've played Uncharted?
I haven't started that one yet. We just beat Until Dawn. I'm starting Uncharted probably today or tomorrow.
All right, that game gets cheap, but it's fun.
All right, nice.
I've heard good things, so I'm actually looking forward to playing that as well. That's a game we can both just chill on the couch and like soak in, so that'll be a lot of fun. For me, I ended up buying something earlier today, and probably I think Matt recommended this to me a while ago. Matt, I'm gonna pop my visual novel cherry. I bought Steins Gate on Steam. It was on sale.
Yes.
All right, I've heard great things about it. I read some of the reviews. Everyone's like, "Look, I really like the anime, but like the visual novel was so much better." I've never played a visual novel before, so this is gonna be my my VN cherry poppin'. So I'm really looking forward to playing that. I mean, it was still kind of expensive. Like, I don't know my price points for visual novels. It was 20% off, which is great. So I paid like $27 for it. But if I enjoy it, it's money well spent. Plus, I get to enjoy, supporting the people that made Steins Gate. So that alone is worth, I think.
They rarely go on sale.
Yeah, I figured because I've never seen it on sale before. And I'm like, you know what? I got to do it. It's like on the front page over here. I got to do it. I didn't even look for it. I just saw on the front page and I clicked on it.
Cool.
Good shit.
All right, I have a question. What are your MMO solutions?
MMO solutions?
MMO solutions.
All right.
These are
I have
MMO
one.
resolutions, by the way, for 2017.
I got one. My MMO resolution for 2017 is to have 999 million gil in Final Fantasy 14. That is the cap. I want to be gil capped in Final Fantasy 14.
So explain a little about that. You've been pretty heavy on that, and you've been doing pretty well this past few days. I believe you're a third of your way to your goal, even before the year has clocked in.
Yes, I have 318 million gil on Final Fantasy 14 at the moment, and I am going for 999. I've had a very good last 2 weeks with some heavy gamblers in the game, and people are asking. It's not necessarily the cap; it is the most you can have on you at once. You can put 999 million on your retainers, so they're your NPCs that sell stuff for you, so they can hold as a bank 999 million as well. So you can have 999 million yourself, and then 999 million on each retainer. But it's still a cap on a per character basis. And actually, I have a funny story on my my casino in Final Fantasy, but let's go around the table first, get everyone else's MMO solutions, goals, dreams.
All right, I'll start. 250 Maple Story is one.
That's a tough one. I mean, because it does get so much lower once you get around 200. I've seen people play it around 200, and I'm looking at their experience, like gain as they're grinding. It is so slow at that level. But
Yes.
God bless. If you can do it. If you can do it, Altai, that'd be awesome.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, yeah. So my goal is to find another game that I can spend 500 hours on this.
That's fair. What was your last game that you
We're all
spent 500?
chasing that though, right?
Yeah.
Black
That's
Desert.
always a chase. There you go, Black Desert.
Black Desert was the last one I spent 500 hours on.
Always looking for the hunt there. Hopefully you find it, but
So one quick question before you get to your story.
Yeah.
Another question. What MMORPG specifically are you most looking forward to in 2017? Did we cover this?
kinda.
It's worth going over again.
It's worth going over again. For me, it was Period Chronicles. Again, there is no firm release date, but it was the MMO I asked Santa for in the last week or the week before that, and we talked a lot about it and why it's different and it has potential to actually be something different. It's more like Minecraft than an MMORPG, but it's still got the MMORPG mold, so that's what I'm excited for.
I don't know what I'm most excited for. A lot of the games that I've been watching don't really have enough to like say that I'm excited about them. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of casually watching a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of what's going to happen with the Bless NAEU version, so I can't exactly say I'm excited about that. I'm more like cringing every time I think about it. I don't know. Right now, it's just a lot of wait and see for me. A lot of the games that I was curious about, I've already played the foreign versions, so a lot of the hype is died down.
You killed your own excitement by playing the foreign versions, all right?
I'm excited for any one of the Western crowdfunding games to actually release. Any one of them.
So you're talking
Crowfall, Albion, Shards. Actually, even Shrouded Avatar, I think I'll try if it fully releases. I don't know if I'll like it, but I'll try it if it releases.
I read that they're aiming for release this coming year.
Yeah,
Like
even
they're gonna make one
the
last push.
announcement about them ready for release, they're talking about second quarter of 2017. That's like 6 months away.
Yeah, it's gonna happen then. It's happening.
That's a long way though, man. Who knows what's gonna happen in 6 months?
I'm also sitting there like, aren't most of their graphics still placeholder according to them? Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna just suddenly replace that in 6 months?
Do a couple more of those telethons, all right? Raise more money. No problem. It's a good cause.
Sort of.
All right. Well, I had a grand old time in Final Fantasy this last week. So I have a little bit of a story. Many of you guys already know I run a casino in Final Fantasy 14, and people they come up and play. One guy in particular led to a pretty amazing story. So he ended up. First of all, one funny thing about the casino. Basically, the way it works is you place a bet between 10K and 5 million, and then you type /random. That gives you a random roll between 0 and 999. So the way my casino works is if you roll above a 590, you win. So 590 and higher wins double their money, 950 and higher wins triple their money, and a score of 999 wins 7 times their money. Overall, I got a house edge of about 12%, which is a good chunk of change, right? One fellow came by. My brother is showing him. I actually had a screenshot I was going to show, but it's that fellow. He ended up playing, and he lost about 50 million. That's a lot of money in the game. 50 million gil is probably equivalent to about $75 in RMT money, which is a pretty good chunk of change. If you want to do retail, that's actually like over 250. I'm talking like wholesale level of being worth $75. So he lost a lot of money, and being the bright guy that he is, he actually ended up making his own casino to try getting his money back. And so he's advertising his casino the same place I am, right? So he figures that he lost all this money to Remote. He lost all his money to me, that he can get most of it back through some kind of casino. And he advertises a casino, and I look at his casino, I'm like, wait a minute, something is off over here. So I'm sharing a screenshot in a podcast, and this is his casino. And if you guys can take a look at his casino, see if you can spot what the problem is. It should be pretty obvious, because immediately after seeing it, I message my friend, and I say, this guy's pretty dumb. I'm pretty sure that's a positive EV, and I'm going to gamble with him. So if you're not familiar with the term EV, it just means expected value. So he's advertising a casino where he's taking the same tier bets I am. He's advertising he takes 10K to 5 million. He gives double the money on 560 and higher, and 3 times the money on 850 or higher. So I ran the math very quickly after seeing this. I'm like, wait a minute. If he's offering those odds are advantageous to the player. So while I normally have a 12% edge, his casino is offering players a 20% advantage, because he doesn't understand math. If he's offering double their money on 560 or higher, but then he's offering triple on 850. So even though he's going to win more games because he wins on any roll 561 or higher to win, he will lose more money because he's offering triple on a whopping 150 rolls between 850 and 999. So I walk out to him and I start gambling with him. Like I start gambling, and he doesn't realize it didn't connect with this guy. Why is this other guy gambling with me when he's running his own casino? So he's taking my bets. I bet 3 million gil, I win. 3 million, I lose. I bet 3 million, I win. So I'm winning or losing, right? And I'm playing for like 30 minutes. So 45 minutes later of playing with this guy, he loses 75 million gil to me. He loses everything. I bet another 5 million. He's like, sorry, I can't take your money. I have no more money to pay out. So he literally lost everything he had running his casino. And he's whispering me like, man, how'd I lose? Like, how is this possible, man? You made all this money with your casino. And I was trying to do this. I lost all this money. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude. Do you not realize like your odds are awful? You can't win with your odds. You're guaranteed to lose money because you're offering players a 20% advantage. And this guy lost all his money. He ended up leaving the server. He actually rage demolished his large house, which is worth like 200 million, and just left. He just rage quit the server after that.
He was so ashamed he couldn't show his face anymore. You know
that's what it was.
This book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon, and one of the chapters basically it's a parable, and basically what it says is like don't spend all your money doing something you don't understand, right? So it's like some rich guy going to a restaurant and he sees, oh, this restaurant's full. It must be making lots of money. It must be so easy. Let me open a restaurant. So then he spends all his money opening a fancy restaurant. And then he realizes, you got to coordinate the chefs, the cooks, the waitresses, the advertising, the cleaning. And he gets overwhelmed and he loses all his money. So this is a story of a guy who lost some money gambling. And instead of learning his lesson, he thought he could just do it himself without understanding what that meant. And you have to know what you're doing to do something.
But the clues were there. Like, I walked out to him and said, okay, are these really your odds, right? He's like, yes. And he could have at any moment questioned why I was playing with him. Like, as somebody who runs a casino, he didn't question while I was playing with him. And every time I won, I was like, I guess I got lucky. I'm kind of like teasing him so he keeps playing. I don't want him to stop taking my bets.
The clues were there for you, but don't forget if you don't know how to read, right? Written clues don't mean anything to you. So, and if you don't know math, which probability, which this guy clearly didn't, the clues don't mean
You're right.
It could be like 10 times on 850 plus. He still wouldn't get it because he doesn't know he doesn't know the math, right? So
yeah. That's my Final Fantasy story, and because of this guy, before he started playing, I was at 160 million. When I was done with him, I was over 300 million.
There's another story about this. When you were running this casino, I was so surprised. I automatically assumed it would be banned to run a casino in Final Fantasy because so many games these days, including World of Warcraft, are Care Bear land where you can't like swear at people, you can't like grieve people, you can't like you get in trouble for these kind of things, scamming. So I was surprised to hear this game allowed it, and it's a good thing. I look favorably on games that kind of allow this kind of player interaction.
I think any game that allows players to just kind of do what they want. I mean, I can't understand developers going after people if they scam people, right? I mean, I can still say scamming and thievery is like a part of the game, but I can understand their rationale for clamping down on cheating and scamming. Because scamming results in people having less fun, and they can say that to make their game more fun, they want people to not get scammed. So their rule is that as long as you're not scamming people, you can do whatever you want in the game, as long as both parties understand. And because the dice rolling mechanic is in the game, it can be verified by a third-party GM. They're A-okay with it. So they'll go back at the logs if they got accused of scamming, and they'll find out if you scammed. And if you did scam, they will ban you. So I'm okay with the way they do it.
I'd also like to add, I'm sure a lot of people in comments might be thinking, wow, Omar hurt this guy, right? But I think you did him a favor because end of the day, even all his money in the game, like 150 million, is like you said, at most what, $100, $200?
A couple $100, yeah.
$200. I think he learned an important lesson. And I'm sure at the moment he felt desperation, sadness, anger, regret, right? But again, it was only, and I'm not trying to say $100, $200 is not a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. So somebody like this could have been broken at a real casino and lost his house in real life, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this experience, maybe he's young, I don't know how old this guy is. This experience might inoculate him to a similar experience in real life one day. And, I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people listening where you get scammed in a video game when you're a kid, and it kind of opens your mind to the possibility of people not always telling the truth. I know that was the case for me. So there it is.
I mean, you guys keep missing the point that you keep assigning a real world value based on what it's sold for on like black markets, basically. But most people aren't ever going to buy or sell any of their money, so it doesn't really have a real world value to them.
You're
anyways.
right. Yeah, that's
exactly.
true.
So the value is like 0 for him, probably. Yeah.
It's just his time in the game.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a value to that real world lesson that he learned. I mean, I don't think I did anything particularly wrong. There was no cheating going on. Every time he won, he could actually this guy he was up at a certain point, up a couple million on me, and he could have walked away, and he didn't. Everything was done on the up and up. I actually don't. If a game doesn't allow scamming, I'm not going to break their terms of service. I'm going to respect the rules of the game. So I honored the rules. He just happened to keep betting. Most people won't buy Gil, is what Matt did say, and that's correct. I think most players, whether they aren't going to participate in real money transactions. People that play WoW, most people do not buy gold or sell their gold. They just play the game for fun. A very small group of people end up buying and selling the actual currency.
Maybe that would be a good weekly raid one week. Maybe an anonymous poll. Have you done an RMT where you're either the buyer or the seller in an MMORPG? And 2, would you ever?
That's fair.
I'm curious
Interesting.
to see what people's number. I know. I've met people that are vehemently against it, and it kind of makes their blood boil. Like the whole concept of people buying or selling. I've met people who actually purchased, met people who haven't. So I'd be interested.
Quick question for the roundtable here as well. I mean, do you have any fundamental problem if let's say with people that do buy in-game currency? Do you think they're ruining the economy? Do you think they're buying an unfair advantage or anything? Do you see a do you see a problem with it?
I don't see a problem with it, but I don't see a problem with it on the end of the person that's buying it. If someone makes it available to you, I can't blame them. People don't even realize when they're getting scammed out of their passwords because they won't check their URLs. I don't expect them to have any concept of what this could possibly do to a game. I have issues with the fact that it exists and that someone is allowed to profit off of a digital technically copyrighted currency within a game. That I have issues with that, and it's very odd to me, but I don't like the way that anyone has tried to stop it. So I mean, I'd rather it exist than they try to stop it and they do something like Black Desert did. So, I mean, I'm pretty conflicted on it.
By what Black Desert you mean to restrict trade?
Yeah, restricting trade.
Yeah, that's awful. That's the worst possible solution.
The biggest problem, right? They not only restricted trade, they made it so that the auction house automatically changed prices on its own based on whether people went higher or lower than the average price on average.
Oh, so you couldn't really set your price?
No, you had a certain bar, and you could stay within that bar, right? That range, and if it trended downwards, the price would automatically start trending downwards over time, and then if it trended upwards, the average price right in the center, where it automatically set you, would start trending up over time.
So, do you think they did that to kind of prevent people from transferring money or goods at a discount or inflated price? Probably, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But that's such a bad way to fight it. It just really screws up the whole purpose of the semblance of being in a virtual economy in a virtual world, the restriction on trade. But Aaron, what about you? Do you think there's anything fundamentally wrong with RMT?
Yes. If the game doesn't allow it, it doesn't allow it. But the onus of enforcement falls on the developer, right? So if people are spamming gold selling links like MMO bomb, whatever, MMO attack or whatever it was.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of that.
Okay, buy this much gold here, right? You can't blame the guy who's control Ving, right, for 5 cents an hour in China. Or whatever.
I'm not blaming him.
It's very simple for the developer to tackle this, and if they can't or won't, the issue is with them. So
I don't think it's fair to say it's simple for the developers.
It's not simple.
It's not. Come on,
so
no one's
simple.
WoW hasn't figured it out. A $20 billion company like Blizzard hasn't figured it out. Literally, no game has figured this out. Square Enix hasn't figured it out. Name one MMORPG that has figured this out. It's so easy.
They're completely restricted to the point that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I think it's an issue of it's one of those cases where you want to minimize it, but you don't want to go the extra, 10% to get rid of it, because a lot of your power spenders, in a free-to-play game, what's a game you can spend a lot of money in? Whatever, okay, whatever game. The people who spend the most money in the actual item mall are probably also the people who do the most RMTing, right? I would say
maybe. I mean, it depends because they might just want to spend the money within the confines of the game where they know that their purchases are validated.
Yes, but again, I'm saying there's overlap because if you're willing to spend in a game, you're also willing to spend in a game for the currency as well. And I have a story about this actually. Back in my retail days, I also did retail for a bit in high school. There was a guy who got caught stealing. Okay, at a comic book shop. He was stealing magic packs. His mom came in, and his mom's like, my son spends a lot of money here. And that was her way of trying to get out of like us calling the police on him. Because
that doesn't justify it. It's a douche.
And that's the thing. The people the regulars, right? The regulars, they kind of maybe they felt entitled to steal once in a while because they were spending so much money anyway. So I think a lot of times developers have this issue where they can see on their end all this. It's pretty obvious to see a level 1 character walk up to this a guy who plays 12 hours a day and drop like 20 trades on him, giving him all this money once a week. And if you're the developer, this guy's spending like $500 a month on your cash shop. Do you want to ban him? Even if you see him.
It's a business decision. Exactly. They don't want to ban him.
So I think there's a big overlap between people buying in the cash shop and people buying RMT.
But what about a game like WoW?
Okay, but here's where that logic doesn't make sense. It's one thing to not ban the guy who's buying it, right? But it's not another thing to not ban the guy that's selling it.
Oh,
yeah. Why can't they control the selling it?
They probably ban him, but again, it's a level 1 character. How are they gonna?
No, but you said it was easy to stop, and if you can't stop the source of the sellers, forget the buyers. If you fix the seller part, you fix the problem.
What I meant is, if you ban a few of the big wigs, they'll stop buying. Because
you can't ban the buyer. The buyer's not the problem.
Well, my only point was it's easy to stop if they wanted to.
No, I don't think so. They'll find clever ways to make it undetectable.
I don't think so because the clever people are the sellers. The buyers are dumb people with lots of money. So
yeah, and the clever sellers will instruct the buyers on the best way to In fact, I was curious. I was looking at the RMT websites for Final Fantasy, and they have multiple ways to do it. They say we can sell you an overpriced item in the auction house, basically. But this might be a little risky because Square Enix can detect that.
Yeah.
In fact, the best way to do it is we meet you in game, and you invite us to your guild house, and we just deposit all the money into your guild bank, and then we leave. That's undetectable for them.
But why is it undetectable? That's
because any player could donate money. No, but any player could theoretically put money in a guild bank and any amount of money.
1 second later, level 1 is going to walk into a guild.
No, yeah.
Okay, deposit the maximum amount, right? 10 times, 100,000.
It was my other account. It was conceivable it was one guild mate's other account or something. There's no way to know for sure, like 100% case, what the issue was, unless you're literally looking line by line in every single transaction in the database to look out for these. Come on.
I think it's one of those cases where they turn ready. So it's happening over there. You look this way, kind of like the brown bag with alcohol. The cops don't. As long as you're not, if it's not, too in the open. No, I don't think anyone cares. That's what the issue is.
Anyways, I think that it's not widespread enough of a thing to actually. That's what I was getting at.
My only personal issue with it is honestly, I have a problem with developers, let's say, selling currency directly to their players. Like, let's say you can buy currency directly from Square Enix. I have a problem with that because it seems like a semblance of unfairness. But if you're buying from other people, provided it's not duped or exploited and illegally obtained, I feel like that's just a secondary market, and that's okay. Regardless of what the terms of service say, it seems like it's kind of fair almost. If it's not cheated in any other way or scammed.
Here's the problem with that. All this money is coming from botting.
Probably yes. All the RMT money comes from that. You're right.
No, if you do the math, if you actually do the quest or the proper content, your hourly wage, if you're only doing it to sell, is low even in like third world countries. It's not a viable build up.
Okay, here's the other problem with it. You're assigning a real world value to something that doesn't have a real world value.
It does.
It does.
What value is what people are willing to trade. So it does have a real world value.
But what I'm saying is the money has no real world value until someone assigns it to it.
Yeah, until someone.
Let's say, Matt, you have 100 million gil on Final Fantasy. That has $80 wholesale value. I will pay you, Matt, today $80, and I will take that gil and flip it to somebody else for 90. It has value right away because you could sell it.
But what I'm saying is it doesn't have it before that.
Yes, but there's always that floor of the wholesale level that you can sell it at. Even if you don't know about it, it's there. There's like a market floor almost that you can wholesale your money at.
But what I'm saying is it naturally breaks the economy by existing in a way. Like, it doesn't like affect as much as people think it does. It's not like
you're right. It's not a big deal, regardless.
but it naturally breaks the economy because you've assigned a real world value to something that had none. Before, it was just this item had this currency value, but now this currency has another value. This currency is equivalent to dollars, so now these items are equivalent to dollars, and so it naturally breaks the economy.
I don't know about breaks, but it does impact it in funny ways.
It does impact it. This is a different discussion. I'm actually fascinated by the economic side of MMORPGs more than most other sides. So it's something to think about. But maybe it's a discussion for another time. We've been dwelling on dice rolls for a while now.
Yeah, enough dice roll talk. But I mean, it's worth getting Final Fantasy news out of the way because the big news this week was Fanfest happened in Japan while everybody was celebrating Christmas here in the West, and they do. I believe they do an event in Vegas. They do one in Japan, and they do one in Europe as well. So they have like 3 Fanfests for like all the big regions: Europe, North America, and Japan. And the news that came out, the big news was they have a tentative release date of June 20th for Stormblood. Obviously, anyone playing Final Fantasy is pretty excited for that, and you can see some actual like gameplay for a change. Before, their first expansion trailer was a CGI trailer, so now this will be another job in the game. And unlike other jobs, you can actually start off at level 50, kind of like the Dark Knight actually.
Wow!
And it's just another fun thing to play. And I think the biggest news though is that level cap will be 70. This was already out before, but the only real news that came out was the tentative release date, and they confirmed the Red Mage. But having a level cap of 70 in Final Fantasy is going to keep people so busy. There are completionists playing the game that have so many characters at level 60 right now, and just to get their current characters to level 70 on with this increased level cap is going to take forever. If you're 60 on everything, to get to 70 on everything next will take such a long time that like raising the level cap in a game like Final Fantasy that has this multi class system it gives you so much more to do and keep yourself busy. And there's always this thing where Yoshi P, the head design producer of Final Fantasy, depending on what T-shirt he wears, he's hinting at what's going to come in the game. And he wore and this time in Japan, right? He wore a Spider-Man T-shirt. So now that people are speculating, of course, what Spider-Man means. All right, and this actually foreshadowed his other T-shirts have foreshadowed every other change. And people speculate on the Red Mage before on I think what he wore in FanFest in Vegas. I actually forgot right now, but it's pretty funny that people speculate based on what T-shirt he wears.
That's pretty cool.
The Red Mage is such a weird class. It's a magic class that uses a rapier.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So weird though.
It is
how
weird.
It's pronounced?
Rapier, yeah.
I just called it rapier.
I always call it
I could be
rapier.
wrong.
But I knew I was wrong.
But I think people are speculating that Samurai will be next. People are also kind of waiting for a Dancer. So like even like a class like Dancer sounds kind of cool. Final Fantasy does have some interesting classes, like you've had it in like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff. But that's definitely pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. But they're adding a water zone. I feel like who asked for water and diving zones? Did anybody actually like those zones?
Apparently, the one in WoW was pretty good. I've heard good things about that.
Since the water temple.
Okay.
And I've been scarred. Never again.
But do they have underwater combat?
I don't know actually. There's diving, so I figured there might be some underwater combat. Who knows?
So is that the only class we're getting so far, or is there any more?
There will be more, but
Oh.
people are speculating that Samurai will be next. I'm not sure if it's going to be in this expansion though, but people have been speculating about Samurai.
Maybe we're gonna get like what was Peter Parker's job? He was like a news delivery, like newspaper delivery, journalist, right?
I don't think journalist was ever a Final Fantasy class though, so that might be out of there.
Maybe a courier subplot. I don't know.
But one thing that's worth mentioning too on the Final Fantasy front kind of ties in together with what we deem as fair or unfair. We did mention the level 50 boosts that they were considering in the past because I think the Chinese version already has them, and we discussed that Yoshi P himself even said that the early game wasn't really fun in Final Fantasy, or not as fun as he put it. So I'm pretty sure they're going to add it to the West. But the way Final Fantasy works is that you have multiple classes, right? And if you can buy a job boost to level 50, that seems to be the spot you can boost to. If you can do that, what's to stop you from buying 6 different job boosts and getting level 50 on 5 different characters? Do you think at that point, is it going beyond the initial goal of, skipping the early content? Is it becoming pay to win? Does that seem fair?
Does that
Thoughts?
seem fair?
Because I think we can all agree that skipping the content is a necessary evil, right? Because a lot of games have been doing it now, whether it's WoW, whether it's Rift, whether it's, I don't know if Archeage did that, but a lot of games have done it. So I feel like it's a necessary evil in a lot of games. But if you in a game like Final Fantasy, where you have multiple jobs, and assuming you can use like 5 potions to max out 5 classes,
But you
would
don't
that
max
be
out.
fair?
You get to 50 out
No,
of
you
70.
get level 50. Yes, would that be fair?
Yeah.
I don't see how it would be any different than any other game.
No, because if you get it on one, in every other game, you can't level up like.
Well,
Well,
just think of each job or as a
character.
as an alt, right? Because it's
That's
the same,
true.
equation.
And they're gonna be about $30 to $50 apparently for these boosts.
That's a good moneymaker for them.
I think they'll make a lot of. I think they should just make it 1 per character. Otherwise, I feel like it might be seen as a little unfair.
You know what's cool? Imagine, okay, so basically the margin for them is 100%, right, on those?
Yeah.
So they charge like $50 for a game that takes like 10 years to make, all this money,
Yeah.
and they can get the equivalent, potentially 5 times per user, by the way, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay. With 100% margin for, boom, nothing. A database entry, right? 1 to 50.
Which is why games are moving more of a service than just necessarily a product. I think we made this point last week. So many people bought that new Lux skin for $30 in League of Legends, and $30, and then you have a game like Final Fantasy 15, which probably costs like $80 million to make or something crazy. But then they're only selling it for like $50, and then they just sold this Lux skin for $30, and millions of people bought it. And they're gonna make more money off that Lux skin than like most of these AAA games end up making. Which is insane. It just shows you
I say good for them because you're paying for Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Both for the box and the subscription. And again, you're not getting 70. That's a key. If they sold the latest expansion with a level 70, thing,
yeah.
that could be an issue, right? Then we can start,
No game lets you get to the
Exactly.
max. Every game kind of gives you like the previous max almost.
It's kind of like this. If Final Fantasy like 15 comes out, you don't have to play Final Fantasy 13 to like get to it, right? Or X2. You don't have to play X to play X2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want people, their friends, everyone having fun with the new expansion, while a new player is stuck literally for months grinding the old content. The hype train is now. The hype train is on the current expansion, the current content.
I think something you're missing is the only reason that there's a point to even level, like practical use for leveling the other classes for most people is to get the additional class, like if you have the 2 classes that you need to unlock the 3rd class. And after leveling a few classes, you run out of like quests, basically. You basically run out of quests. So I mean, for most people,
that's grind, yeah.
For most people, that's going to be a hurdle that they can't overcome. So I don't see the issue with allowing them to just kind of skip it.
But it's almost like I have a certain level of respect for people that have like level 60 in every character. Obviously, it's just a time thing, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
a time thing. They just push the cookie clicker. It's not different.
but it's like, look, this guy spent all this time on this, and I can achieve that through like just paying. It just seems you won't achieve it fully, obviously, because level 50 versus the highest level
it's the
cap.
same thing as allowing the previous level cap in like WoW. Sure, yeah, okay, respect all the people that went through it. Sure, that's fine. Whatever. But you don't sit there and like say that other people are going to have to go through it now without the benefit of like everybody's still playing that content, without the benefit of time. And just like by the time they get to the end game now without the skip, they're just going to be bored as shit because everybody's going to be done with it and having moved on.
Can you buy those level 100 boosts in WoW for more than one character? Can you just boost every one of your characters?
The first
I'm
one,
pretty sure
you
you can
buy the rest. You gotta buy.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Then they're doing it too. I guess if WoW is getting away with it, they'll get away with it too. But in my heart, it just feels slightly unfair. But I understand it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it.
To me, it really gives me a sense of zen. It kind of shows me that I'm leveling this character, but I should be doing it for the right reasons because I'm enjoying it. If I'm not enjoying leveling it, right? Why am I doing it? And if I want to play the late game, I should just pay and get the boost.
all right, that's fair.
Because
All right.
I don't know. That's okay. Any other points on this?
I mean, I just have to put out there, I've played a lot of games over the years, and I almost, it's very rare that I have the same kind of fun that I have, like, when a game just launches, that I do later on with the early game. I mean, it really is a completely different experience, not being able to queue for things, not having people around. It's just, it's not welcoming to go into a game and see no one there, basically, because they've all moved on to the end game content. And to allow you to move to the end game content, it completely erases that problem.
I mean, yeah, that's
All right, I
that's
got
true.
one. So this is something
Go
along this. Remember when we were talking about this whole buying or is it fair?
Mm-hmm.
This is slightly related to that. We got an interview by the CEO of Trion, and he is not happy with G2A. So G2A they don't sell gold or anything, but they sell CD keys.
Well, and what does Trion have to do with this? Because Trion doesn't really sell like.
They have Atlas Reactor.
Yes.
I'm sure they have codes and stuff you can redeem
For Trion games, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell for expansions like Starfall.
Yeah, for
Prophecies
Rift.
are premium.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So he basically what did he say here? He basically is accusing the whole thing of fraud. He's saying every time we have a fraudulent key, we track it back. It's from G2A, and then we find out who the original person we gave this key was, right? How it ended up on G2A. He says it's almost always credit card fraud, which is indefensible, right? I do think a lot of G2A's business is literally just Russian hackers stealing PayPal accounts or credit cards, buying keys, and selling to G2A. Besides that, there's one other one which I disagree with him on, and I think he weakened his argument by mentioning this, and that is he called it regional pricing fraud. Okay, there's another word for that. It's called arbitrage. If you charge less for your game or product in Russia, right, you can't blame people for buying it in that locale and then selling it elsewhere, right?
That's true.
If they have the access to it. If you don't regionally lock keys, you can.
Exactly. Like
yeah, there you go. If it's locked, you're fine.
And I bet I'm not sure. I'm not certain of this, but I bet there are certain aspects of the Trion company that are done by non-full-time employees, are done by either third parties, right? At Trion, like the art or something, or the office management, the payroll. It's called outsourcing. Like I'm sure some of those companies are based in cheaper locales, whether it's in the south of America or in Asia. So it's price arbitrage, and I bet you Trion and this guy, the CEO, participates in it as well. So you can't call that fraud. That's not fair. Credit card fraud is fraud. Everyone, if you steal someone's credit card and buy stuff with it, that's nobody.
Yeah, nobody's defending that. Nobody's defending credit card fraud.
Okay, here's the thing about arbitrage, right? Steam didn't like it, so they restricted gifting. What is Trion going to do about it?
Right.
I have a solution for them. Very easy. Don't sell keys. No, nothing can be transferable. All right. You buy something on Archeage, your expansion, whether it's for Rift, it's non-transferable. As soon as you buy it, it unlocks in your account, and the problem is fixed. There's no more problem. Why are these keys even exchangeable? Like, why is gifting even a thing? For a lot of these games, that's what creates an opportunity for G2A and all these companies to steal credit cards and do this. Like this market, G2A
gifting that isn't like direct. At least gifting that isn't direct.
Yeah, they've got to like. Yeah, you got to take the keys out of it.
Gift to account. That's what it should be.
Yeah, right from like maybe where it is. Like that would destroy G2A's business and if G2A is built entirely on fraud, which the more we look at G2A, the more I realize it probably is, right? Otherwise, like, why am I able to get these keys for like 80% off? There's something fishy about it. I've participated. I've bought stuff on G2A because it's cheaper. But I realize, I'm starting to realize that if it's just credit card fraud, I don't want to support that. If it's regional pricing arbitrage, where they sell keys cheaper in certain poorer regions, and they're just reselling those keys to me at a discount, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the credit card fraud bit, though.
Okay, here's the bigger problem with G2A. If a developer requests directly that their game is removed from the platform, they will straight up tell them no, and they won't give them money for it.
I'm okay with that. Why does a developer have any say on what if I can sell their keys or not?
Because because they're making money off of their keys, like without having a direct contract with them. Technically, it's in violation with certain laws.
If I buy an apple from ShopRite, can I not sell that apple to somebody else, or do I have to call the farm that grew that apple?
But it's different for physical products than digital products.
But G2A never signed a contract with said
exactly
party.
That's the issue.
There's no agreement, meaning there's no requirement on G2A to honor anything from the developer.
Yeah, but that's the issue.
Somebody mentioned it's like scalping. Scalping is not illegal, as far as I know.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't think it's illegal.
I don't know. I don't know either.
I don't know. But I do know that G2A did respond to this guy.
What'd they say? Are they slinging mud? Is there a public drama we can get into?
They've basically dodged their way through any kind of PR disaster and basically been like, sue us if you really want to. But most of the people that call them out aren't people that can afford to.
Yeah, but they basically said, look, we're happy to work with you for the credit card fraud stuff, but the regional pricing is not fraud. That was basically their gist.
That bit is a fair response. But now I'm curious, what percent of G2A's business is credit card fraud, do you think? Because that's the biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we knew, because like if it was all credit card fraud, I wouldn't use the website. But if it's just regional pricing, I'll take advantage.
But yeah, no, G2A's had issues with all manner of developers and publishers over the years.
But they're making bank. You know, these guys are getting bigger and bigger. I see them advertised everywhere. I'm curious how much money they make. I know the website's been growing. We can see their Alexa rank going up. They are currently the 874th biggest website in the world, and they've been booming over the years.
And they're a big sponsor of, like
esports and stuff, right?
Twitch profile, Twitch people on Twitch. Yeah, so I see them a lot.
I mean, the thing you have to remember is that even without credit card fraud, like if you just took advantage of regional pricing, you still don't have any incentive to sell it on G2A for the cheaper prices than the regional pricing in a lot of cases. So, I can't see a lot of people buying these games new, never playing them, right? And then selling them on G2A.
And that was one of the Trion CEOs. That was one of his points. He goes, they kind of trying to build themselves as this marketplace where people with excess keys, they purchase.
Nobody's got excess keys. I agree with that. Nobody's got these excess keys.
Yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. I'm not just attacking the Trion guy here. Yes, he's right. No, nobody. I actually have a few gift copies of games in my Steam cart. I'm not gonna sell it for $1 though. I'm gonna keep it for when I want to play a game with a friend. I can't imagine anybody stumbling buying too many copies of a game and then selling it for $2 on G2A. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, he's right there.
It's big companies with running bots that exploit regional pricing. It's fraud. It's also people who steal keys. Maybe if someone gets into my Steam account, maybe they can transfer those gifts somehow. So that's the way I see it happening.
Speaking of financial issues,
yeah, we got another financial piece of story here. Hero Song by the guy who used to lead Sony Online Entertainment, Smedley. His company,
Daybreak Games and Sony Online Entertainment, yeah.
Pixel Mage Games has announced on Monday that they are shutting down development on Hero Song. This was supposed
unfortunate.
to be... It is unfortunate. I never got to play it. Omar, you did. Maybe you can talk more about what it was trying to do. But
it's surprising that they shut down when they had a game that was so close to they had something. This is more than what we see most Kickstarter and crowdfunding games have. They had a guy with industry experience. They had a product that was functional, right? And all of a sudden they fold. There was no sign of this just suddenly happening. The game got glowing reviews from a lot of popular YouTubers as well, and it's sad to see it go. It was trying to be a more hardcore Terraria, and I thought it had potential, but it never saw the full release.
Here's my thing. This game was in development for how long? A year?
Yeah,
a year and a half.
The whole
maybe?
journey is 1 year. No, it was announced January. The Kickstarter came up in January. It failed. They tried to raise 800,000. They didn't get anywhere near that. They closed it. Then they got private investment, and they also supplemented that with 80,000 or so from Indiegogo.
Yeah.
All right, so they had over $2.8 million that they somehow lost in a year on this. It's not like the art costs were phenomenal, extraordinary art costs. I mean, you look at this art, and that is cheap art. It's not cheap in terms of, it looks awful. It's cheap art. I mean, you can get that for cheap nowadays.
Oh, where'd you get that 2 million figure? That's a lot of money. Did they release? Did they spend that kind of money?
I saw that somewhere.
All right, because that is a lot of money. If they burned through that in 1 year, what?
How big is the studio, for example? 3 million, which is a little more than what he said, would keep 40 people making 75 grand a year for 1 year.
But
40 people.
Do they have 40 people working on this?
I don't know.
Because remember, Star Citizen has 300. Their scale is we're talking orders of magnitude bigger in scale. So I think if I had to guess, 10 developers. I don't know.
Let's
I'm
find
just
out,
throwing
boys.
a number out.
I'm trying to find the quote. It was a quote.
Games, LinkedIn.
That's good. Pixel Mage Games, LinkedIn. They do put a range in there usually.
11 to 50. So
all right, then yeah.
So let's take the average of those numbers.
Let's say 20.
20? Let's say 30.
Fine.
There you go. They're bankrupt just from payroll.
Not everyone's paid 60 grand either. They had some secretaries. They had some, junior interns and developers.
Social security, the office alone. God knows where's the company based.
Oh, here it is. It was the press release. Here, according to the press release, Pixel Mage Games has already raised $2.8 million in funding from private investors and is looking to establish the market for Hero Sonic for pre-orders and support the polishing and balancing of the current features of the game before launch. $2.8 million.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
How much you want to bet? How much do you guys want to bet? What really happened is that they did some predictions, saw that with their current sales plus drop off, they weren't going to make it in the long term. But they still had a bit of money kind of as a nest egg, and Smedley took it and run.
There's no way he took it and ran. I'm not saying he took it and ran. Here's what possibly happened. Yeah.
The reason I don't think it happened is because the private investors, they probably did this, and this is pretty common in business. They release the money in waves, right? So if I want to give you $2 million for a project, I don't give it to you. Here's a $2 million check. Bye. They do like, okay, I'm going to give you 500,000 and you're going to show me the alpha. Then I'm going to give you $1 million after you come out in early access. And if you sell more than like 1,000 copies or 10, whatever, I'm going to give you this much more. So what happened is I bet the game came out, it's my guess, they came out in early access and they didn't sell enough copies for the next tranche of the investment.
That sounds more likely than burning through $2.8 million, because I think Matt's original point that there's no way they spent $2.8 million on what we see yet. I mean,
not on this.
Is a lot of money. And we've seen the games like stretch that kind of development budget a lot longer. But you can't burn $2.8 million that quickly on this, especially when they released like the trailer. They already had when they put the first Kickstarter out. From that moment, they already had a lot in the game. Already. The game was already something.
But I mean, here's the thing: you don't say in a press release that you've raised $2.8 million if you don't have $2.8 million right now.
But Matt, they said that for a reason. They said that they wrote more people in with the Indiegogo. That's why they did it. They wanted the Indiegogo people to think that they have all this money and it's going to happen, so their money is safe. Which is why I'm always frustrated with Kickstarter, and I do get the little arguments on our MMOs.com Discord with people that do support the Kickstarter model, because obviously there are some positive elements to Kickstarter in that the designer and the developer can make the game the way he wants, rather than having to censor it and meet like the business and investment ways. But the problem is it shifts the development risk away from sophisticated investors to consumers, and now the game is more focused on selling the hype and the dream than selling viability, because viability doesn't matter to most people.
Okay, here's the other thing: they're offering refunds to everyone. So where's this money coming from if they're broke?
I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from.
Good point, right?
Well, how many did they sell total? Like 1,000 copies?
They probably sold about $200,000 worth in total. 80,000 if I'm just doing predictions, right? 80,000 from the Indiegogo, and then when people saw it hit early access, a little more than that probably bought it. I
don't think they're refunding. I don't think they're refunding Indiegogo.
He says they're offering refunds Indiegogo in chat there.
Wow.
So where did this money come from?
Who knows?
I don't.
But yeah. I think they didn't get their second or third tranche.
I don't think they're broke. That's the thing. Did they say they ran out of money? That's a key.
No,
they just said they had financial issues.
That's not the same as saying we have zero money left for development or.
Yeah, and they also kind of know when they offer refunds, not everyone will take them up on it.
Yeah,
but they're also shutting down the company too.
They're giving up. They're folding.
So I mean, they had to be pretty far in the hole, right, to have shut down the entire company.
It might be Smedley's pocket too. Somebody said, I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure he's shitting gold. He still has all that SOE money.
He's shitting gold.
He's sitting on his dragon head.
Yeah, he's pretty well off guy.
Yeah. And I did find the website, the About Us page, and they have at least the 20 guys right here showing faces.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that if they have 40 employees, which based on this current look, they have over 20 showing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
40 is not out of the stretch. Plus an office, utilities, electricity. I am not surprised by 3 million going just on payroll and office and rent and utilities and tax, whatever, all that stuff.
And I'm sure they work with third party sound people and artists, because they don't have everybody in staff. A lot of them do work contract.
It's just raising a lot of red flags.
But it is also possible that he is refunding them out of his pocket. I think a guy like Smedley does want to defend his reputation. He doesn't want to be seen as the guy that took the money and ran. And because he's offering refunds to everyone, you said for the Indiegogo as well, he's kind of cleaning his slate as his reputation, saying he's giving the money back. But he knows also that not everybody will ask for refunds. Let's be real, maybe half the people will ask for refunds. So that's not because of that. He gets to keep the other half.
There are a lot of people that already enjoyed the game.
Yeah, they got a lot of time out
I
of it
wouldn't
too.
say a lot of
They're
people.
keeping it.
I wouldn't say a lot of people.
Do we have any data on how many people bought the game? What was that
On
website? Steam Spy.
Yeah, Steam Spy has it.
Curious now.
You guys need to bookmark that. I'm surprised you don't know that off the top of your head by now.
I do. I have that bookmarked. They have player owners 7,000. It says.
Well, it's not very big. So yeah, that's sad though. Again, it was a functional game. I mean, it's so weird when the game like this shuts down. It kind of disappears off the face of the earth, right? Like, hey, Smedley, I'll give you $100 for Hero Song. All right, give me all the source code, $100. It's better. Actually, if you're getting 0, it's better than that.
On the Reddit, there's a lot of people kind of shocked by this announcement. It came right after Christmas, and a lot of people were saying things like that, like release the code, server info, and let us run it, because there is something at least of there's something there.
And it does run off servers, so people can make their own servers, people can join. You don't need a central official server to enjoy the game.
And look, I'm usually quick to call these Kickstarter stuff a scam, like whether it's Shroud of the Avatar, Star Citizen. The reason I'm giving Smedley the benefit of the doubt for now until we have more information is because the whole saga was pretty short. Again, the original Kickstarter came out in January, and now in December, the whole thing's gone.
The same year, yeah.
If this was a scam or whatever, they could just milk this baby for like 4 more years. Just release some nonsense about, make a commercial, make a con, a convention, whatever.
Yes, they could have done all that.
A telethon of where they donate their blood, whatever. Like, there's a lot of gimmicks they could have done if they're going to Shroud of the Avatar route. And by the way, Lord British, is a much wealthier than the team behind this game personally.
Yeah.
And yet he's still squeezing every drop he can from people for Shroud of the Avatar. So that's kind of shady. That's
how they get them. That's how they get rich, though. They don't spend any of their own.
I guess
that's true.
Yeah,
that's the only rationale.
He's a lot richer than me, so he knows what he's doing. I can't say.
All right. Again, I don't want to go back to a few weeks ago, but I do have to just say again, the guy behind Shroud of the Avatar, and they did a telethon to raise money for their game. The guy spends $50 million, or I think it was maybe even $100 million, going to the International Space Station on a private space journey, but he's got to go on a telethon and beg you for $10 to buy a shit. Come on! Such nonsense. Nonsense, I tell
you. So the fact that he folded it when he saw it wasn't in the cards, I think it was the right move. All right, he didn't drag it out. He didn't squander the money to a point where maybe he couldn't give refunds. Like, imagine he just kind of dragged it for another year.
Yeah, and then he couldn't afford to give
maybe
refunds.
He's got like twice as many sales, and he doesn't have any money to pay refunds. So until we have more information, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He tried. It just, the market didn't want a hardcore, 2D pixel roguelike MMORPG at the moment,
Well, I think we can all agree, though, at best, Smedley is not good at managing his money.
No. And I think he was barking up the wrong tree. Honestly, I think there are a few Kickstarter success stories, right? But they tend to be smaller scale games or single products, right? I don't think that it's good for the MMORPG industry where the games we want to play or the kind of games we want to play have to go begging and scrounging for pennies, right? It's just not. It's not the way we should be. It's not the way we should be encouraging these games to be developed.
It's not just that. Larger games, the budget is constantly a moving target.
Yeah, not only the budget, the product is a moving target. You never know what's going to hit, what's not. So you can't promise a set of features and just keep bloating onto it. This is not the right model for an MMORPG, I don't think. This whole community.
And this tells me if Smedley couldn't do it with $2 million and a $90,000 Indiegogo campaign, these random indie companies that have like no experience making games aren't going to bootstrap it with 100K, 200K that they raised. All right, if they couldn't do it with $2.8 million plus 90K, no amount of bootstrapping can save you with like 100K Kickstarter to make all these ambitious projects. So I still don't look, support your favorite games, buy them if you have to when they launch, support them some other ways. Just stay away from the Kickstarter unless you're willing to gamble. You want to roll the dice for fun, have fun, but Kickstarter is not a good model for MMORPGs. Or focus on smaller games that already have something playable that have like a very focused set of features and aren't promising the world. All right, actually, Matt, that brings me to a great point I wanted to bring up from last week, and it's still relevant because, look, I do make fun of a lot of these indie projects and these Kickstarter campaigns. There was one game that I was impressed with. I think you wrote the story earlier. It was that vampire game. What was it called?
Yep. Shadow's Kiss.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
I'm gonna link that over
silly
here.
name.
It's a silly name, but it's a vampire MMO that's currently in pre-alpha, right? And I'm looking at it. It does cost money. They want to charge $15 for alpha, but this is an indie game being developed by somebody that's clearly passionate about this project, and he doesn't have a lot to work with, right? But he's got a video showing off what he's got so far.
Oh.
He's supporting the game through Patreon, and he's not trying to raise a Kickstarter campaign and promise all this nonsense, right? He's making it out of his own love for the game, and he's not asking everybody for money. He's doing it as a project that he enjoys working on. And maybe when he's way further along, he consider the Kickstarter campaign, and I'd be okay with that, But I'm just tired of seeing games that have literally nothing but cool ideas on paper and thinking they can promise the world on Kickstarter when they have literally nothing to work with. And this game, again, doesn't look particularly impressive, but the fact that they're not cheesing themselves on Kickstarter has my respect for the developer, at least.
So actually, I had an interview with this guy and coming up soon, right? So this guy, the main guy, he worked on, I think he said Wizard 101 and a little bit of Crowfall, and if I heard him correctly, Shadowbane.
Oh wow!
So he's got experience at least. Yeah,
he's got a lot of experience.
It's pretty funny. He actually replied to the original article. I think somebody was saying he said he was going to. Somebody called it a cash grab, and the developer responded, "Believe me, it's more like emptying my bank account to be an independent developer grab. Lots of 60-hour work weeks, living on ramen." And yeah, that's this guy's not asking for money, on Kickstarter. He's selling alpha to his game, which I can't imagine he's selling too many. So he's doing it out of love. So mad respect for what he's doing. This is the way you have to go. Make a product, have something out there, and then maybe consider going to Kickstarter after that. You don't go to Kickstarter when you got nothing. Otherwise, it's embarrassing, and we'll make fun of you.
Here's a good rule of thumb. If you're in the Kickstarter / crowdfunding phase, like the enthusiast passion phase, that's basement / garage phase. You can't have offices full of people. Like that's not. If you're at that phase, go raise private investment from real people.
Yeah.
Investment companies. If you're begging the public at that stage where you have offices, you're scamming. That's it.
It's sleazy. All right. I'll take you to another topic too, which is a fun one, I thought. Back to Trion, because we talked about Trion Worlds CEO earlier. People are saying there was an issue on a big Trion fuck up with the latest patch, because everyone was hyped about these, the fresh start servers. People are saying that there was a dupe, something called the Apex Mirage Isle dupe, that was slipped by the first time they launched the game, and then because of that, billions of in-game currency and items and rare items were all duped, right? And they're saying this happened again.
Oh my god!
How cringy is that this could possibly happen again? Like,
is it the same exact exploit this time?
Yes, that's what they're saying. It's the same exact exploit happened, and it lasted for 11 days now before they addressed it. Which is, before people say nobody's that stupid, right? We have proof that this has happened before. Neverwinter, I played at launch, right?
I was thinking that.
This is literally unbelievable. In Neverwinter, when the game first launched from Arc Games, Perfect World, Cryptic, you could actually bid negative amounts in the auction house, and whatever negative amount you bid, you get that much money back for free. So all you do is put a negative sign, and then whatever amount you want, whatever amount of free money you want, and you get that free money. And you can dupe diamonds.
Because you lose the auction, so you get your money back.
And you get a refund. Yeah. And this lasted for a while until they finally fixed it, but it destroyed the in-game economy, and everyone skewered Cryptic, right? And Arc Games, because this exact same problem happened in Star Trek Online. Like, how do you have the same exact issue, the same exact exploit with the auction house and negative bidding in your previous game, and you don't fix it in your new game?
Because it's the same exact engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did patch it right after they discovered it in Star Trek Online, but then they launched Neverwinter, which they did a lot of advertising on that game. It was a big game for Arc / Cryptic, and they let it slip by. It's insane, and there's not going to be a rollback. It ruined the economy in Neverwinter. I suspect if this exploit did happen again, people have to deal with it.
Yep.
People are saying no one is that stupid, but yeah, people do make the same mistakes.
So I guess so. Theory time. What happened was the fix that Trion put in originally was a North America, Europe exclusive fix. It wasn't in other regions. So when they went and they took the new patch for Archeage 3.0, someone just forgot to put that back in. Like, they kind of overrode it with 3.0 somewhere along the line, and someone just forgot to put it back in. That's my theory.
Oh man, it's remarkable that this stuff still happens. You think like you got to make sure, like, all right, let's just go through the checklist again and make sure we don't fuck it up. You know, let's think of the things that really fucked up Archeage the first time. Oh yeah, that dupe thing. Can we just double check that, please? I guess nobody thought of that. There's a checklist. Like, there's a few things you got to double check. All right, and I think people do agree that it was you know, someone said Trion's gonna Trion. It's just pretty hilarious that still happened.
Some intern's getting fired right now.
Yeah, some intern will get the blame. It's all gonna be some intern's fault who's unpaid anyway, and he's gonna get canned for it.
There is still one competent group out there. You know, we got some issues with Trion and this and that, but we got the Chinese. All right, the Chinese, they're on the ball here. So there's a ripoff of Tree of Savior.
It's not a ripoff of Tree of Savior. It's just the art style.
All right, I'm looking at it, Matt.
You guys will be the judge. I linked it. Okay, everyone look.
Listen, Matt.
No, what I'm saying is
I'm 10 seconds in. My vote, ripoff. Continue.
It's just the art style. That's all I was saying. Just the art style.
Okay,
the gameplay.
So the game is coming out in Korea. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know what it's like. But maybe it could be one of our, Friday games.
It's mobile.
Oh, it's mobile. Okay.
Yeah, you can tell by the controls on the right side. That's like the very typical mobile control scheme. They're already ripping off Trio Savior Mobile Remake before it's even out. They're going to beat Trio Savior Mobile Remake to launch.
Yeah, but see, it's a completely different game.
Okay.
The art style.
Guys, I'm showing some gameplay at level 1. Okay. It's it's not a completely different game.
But the art style is the same because allegedly they've taken assets from
Trio Savior.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are allegations that they took the art style, why stop there? Take everything,
dude. I guess I won't say for sure until I play it, but it looks like more than just the art to me.
You gotta respect the balls these Chinese developers have, right? And the thing is, they're not just releasing this in China. You said it's coming out in Korea because the trailer is in Korea.
It's coming out in Korea.
They're releasing a game where they allegedly stole the art from a pretty big name company publishing it, Nexon,
and then putting it in the country.
It's like if I steal your purse and then try to sell it back to you.
Yeah, that requires audacity. Like,
all right, I think I might have mixed this up with something else. I thought this was more.
All right, are you told it's
doesn't it look a lot like Tree of Savior?
Yeah, it does. I think I may have mixed it up with something.
If you let the next video play, you're showing a gameplay video right now. There was like a CGI trailer. You know, you can tell a game is Chinese like right away. You look at the emotes. The Chinese emotes are always very distinct. They always look like they're always on the Chinese forums too. But like they show these weird like faces over their heads, like it's almost like a ghosty face. Like I don't know if you know what I mean, but if you look at the Chinese emotes are always very peculiar.
Yeah, I think I did know what you mean. I'm gonna try to show. Okay, I have a pause on the.
Yeah.
I have a pause. Actually, these kind of look. Okay, you tell me if this is what you mean.
Okay, here's the better thing though, right? They're not self-publishing in Korea. Some publisher picked this up.
Wow, it's so funny that a publisher wants to stick it to Nexon, I guess.
But I don't know.
Those are the emotes.
Yeah. The one thing that I have to give them really good, big, real large amount of credit for, right? Look at the like spell effects. Look how insane some of these spell effects are.
Oh, they look great. They look great in the trailer.
It's more optimized on mobile with all these people on screen than the entirety of Tree of Savior PC was.
This is why I'm excited for Tree of Savior Mobile Remake too. Right? This is getting me excited for Tree of Savior Mobile Remake. I actually would play that on my phone because I feel like that could be a fun game to play on the phone. I'm more excited for the mobile version than the PC version, honestly, because the PC version didn't do it for me.
I thought it was a cool little story, this Tree of Savior ripoff. The name in China is actually Tale of the Lost City Online, but luckily they are shortening that to just
Lost Tale.
Lost Tale, yeah.
Rare.
It's inevitably going to be confused with Lost Ark. Also, I think personally the animations look a lot smoother in they do in Tree of Savior.
Yeah, they do look great here.
The clone has surpassed the original.
No, I think it's look. we do poke fun at Chinese developers again for ripping off assets and doing kind of sleazy things, but again, you have to admire their ability to just churn these games out. Western games get delayed all the time. They take years to make, and then on the other side of the earth in Taiwan, you got X Legends churning out a new game every year, like literally every year, and they're pretty solid games. So they get it done, all right. They get their shit done,
and they have less exploits.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of competence over there.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can teach us something that we've lost here in.
It's got to be cultural. It's got to be.
No, there was a time when we got things done. Like the George Washington Bridge, Empire State Building. We used to get things done in this country.
It's got to be cultural.
Now the communists are taking over.
All right, here's what we need. We need to make our own game studio, right? We have to have Western game designers and Chinese developers.
Boom.
I feel like you make a perfect game then. You have some of the ambitious projects of Western like game design with the get shit done mentality of Chinese developers. Obviously, there's some language barrier, but I feel like that would be a good team. And put some Russians in there too, because they get shit done as well. All right. Because we always praise the Russians.
We need a UN of MMORPG design. All right.
Yeah, the MMO Council. We make the MMOs Council. All right. We are, boom, make lots of money. See, we got one investor already. All right, one of our viewers is going to invest in us. All right.
We're talking about dollars, not Maple Story Mesos or Gil.
Yeah.
Just FYI there.
Mesos are as good as cash. All right, come on. You never had a moment where like you told your friend like, spot me like $2 for that like McDouble, right? And I'll give you like 2K gold on WoW. Like you never paid your friends back with in-game currency. Come on.
I have.
Yeah, in high school, I'm sure we have. So there you go, and it has value. Boom.
There you go. What's next on the docket, boys?
Okay, speaking of games that do come out, all right, and Russian game too, you have War Thunder, which actually officially launched. Not really much of a story. It's just that we always forget how long games maintain that beta designation. I mean, the game's been in open beta forever now, right? And basically, in our minds, open beta is launch. Like, it really is just launch. But they dropped the open beta name. Now it's just a full launch. So I think it's been open beta for a few years now.
3 years.
3 years. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Did you guys consider this beta like a day after open beta? No.
No,
right?
I mean it was pretty polished from.
Yeah. Well, do you know why it was polished? It was Russians. All right, they know their shit.
Those Russians.
But yeah, they officially consider this feature complete. This is what they imagined when they originally designed War Thunder. This is the game right here with all of its tank content and everything.
Have we done this one for Sunday Fun Day?
No.
I think this would be a good candidate.
Also, War Thunder, the ship thing is coming. So
Yeah,
maybe
the
we should
game,
wait
yeah.
until then.
Oh,
Yeah, naval forces.
sure. Is it
And
going to
they
be
did
one
have
game or
game
multiple
modes.
games?
It's going to be one game. Unlike
That's great. I like that.
the World of game. What's even better, it's not just going to be like you queue up for each one, right? They from what I'm watching in videos of the naval part, it's going to have ships that can be attacked by planes. Though I don't know if they're going to have ships, tanks, and planes in one place. I don't think that's going to make sense because if you think about it, to have really fun gameplay for ships, you have to have a lot of islands and a lot of broken up areas, and that just doesn't work for tanks. But if you have a large landmass that you're circling around as a ship, that doesn't work for ships. It's just boring. So I don't think they're going to mix those, but I think they're mixing ground vehicles and aircraft and naval forces and aircraft. I think that's what they're doing. Don't take my word on that though, because I haven't played it myself yet.
But again, this is they call it feature complete, but they're still going to be releasing updates for it in 2017 and beyond. I guess they just decided it was not open beta, no longer beta time. I feel like a lot of games don't even announce like, okay, we're not open beta anymore. They just keep that tag forever.
And they are going to introduce new nations. Like one of the major things that made this complete right now is that they added the ground forces for Japan correctly. So they're gonna all of the nations are considered complete now until they start bringing in naval forces, and they're going to add this World War mode, which I don't know much about, and they're gonna work on competitive play, including esports. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have issues seeing even like World of Tanks as an esport. So this game with its like high realism mode and everything and options like that, I don't see it doing well as an esport.
I don't think anything's gonna. I don't know. If World of Tanks probably had the best shot of games like this to like be recognized that way because of how massive it is in Eastern Europe and Europe. If they can't do it, I don't know. I don't think the esports scene for this will be too vibrant.
I think esports need a much shorter window per match. I think it's important. I don't know. I don't know how long an average game of this takes, but in the realism mode, it kind of sounds like it could take a while.
But League and Dota take forever, and people love watching that. I mean, CS:GO, even CS:GO matches take forever because they're playing, not one round, they're playing to 15.
I guess I'm not sold on esports in general, but again, that's this different discussion.
Guys, fun fact: did you guys know Warframe, which launched in 2013, is still in open beta?
Yep.
How much longer are they gonna, maybe they forgot like to remove that beta designation. I think it'll be there for a long time.
I think do we have a policy on MMOs.com about open beta, release, alpha?
Yeah, open beta equal release. That's our that's my policy.
What about early access? I think count that as release too. If it's out there to the public, I should say that. If anybody can play, you don't need an invitation or a key or whatever. Then
my thing has always been, okay, if you did early access for free and you wanted to have them pay for the full game later, that's different because you're like giving them free access and it's like, here, this is a testing phase. But my thing is, if it's on the market and you can pay for it, it's basically released.
Yeah, I'm fair with that
regardless of if you can put any kind of money into it at all.
That's true.
That isn't a donate button.
That's fair.
It makes sense.
All right. Speaking of games that are coming out early access and such, who wants to take this big news?
All right. We got Snail Games is Dark and Light character creator. This was supposed to be in early access by the end of the year. The Chinese have let us down. We were just talking about their efficiency, right? And Matt called it that it was going to happen because you said like they said it was like a video issue that they didn't like polish up their latest like early access trailer, and that was the reason they couldn't do it. But that makes no kind of sense to me.
Well, apparently they want to polish it a little more and maybe up the limits on servers.
But this was supposed to be in early access by the end of this year. It's clearly not going to happen. That we will get an early access in Q1, so sometime next month probably. But Dark and Light, and we see some actual gameplay for the first time on like an official video. But the cool news here is that the character creator is supposed to be pretty in depth. The game is supposed to be like Ark Survival Evolved, but with some serious MMO elements. And the character creator, the potential here sounds awesome. The game's producer has said we're aiming for a world in which no two characters look the same. That's a bold statement. I'm curious if they'll actually, give you those kind of options.
But it does look pretty in depth from the have of it. I mean, you have like head, eyebrows, eyes, ears, face, nose. Kind of the stuff we've come to we've gotten used to since the release of Perfect World. I mean, it's got a lot to it, and the fact that you can turn yourself blue and give yourself elf ears is pretty nice.
Now, any idea how big the servers are going to be, Matt? Because like, if it's going to be like Ark Survival Evolved, is it going to have a shit ton of players in a single server?
They haven't confirmed it. I think
so. There's still a lot unknown. Yeah.
I think they said it might be less than 100 at the beginning of open beta. At the beginning of early access, I think they said it might be less than 100, but they're aiming for 500, is what I've heard.
Right. If 500 would be great. That would be awesome because nothing like Rust only has like 200, I think, on the biggest servers. So having 500 would be amazing.
But yeah, it's aiming for 500, I think, and there's like rumors that they might be aiming for 1,000 at some point, but that's just a rumor.
Right, if they can get to 1,000, that'd be epic. But even 500 would be pretty epic. So I'm pretty hyped about that.
Do we have a price estimate? Because this will be buy to play.
I don't think we have a price estimate, but I would expect 40. That's what's been in my head this whole time. 40.
How much is Rust also 40?
Check how much. There's no way.
Rust is 20.
Yeah, there's no.
Rust is 20. Yeah.
Rust is old. Look at the Survival Evolved Ark. Yeah.
Ark is 30.
I think the price are on the same. Actually, Ark is on sale, 60% off right now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's $12 right now. But yeah, I think the price are on the same.
It'll be free on January 1st in China.
There you go. But do you think with Ark going free to play is going to be launching free to play in China, this game has a chance of charging money in China? I know you said earlier in previous podcasts that their goal was to be buy to play in China, but no chance. Come on.
I don't think so either. And I think it might start out that way for sure, though. But the big thing about Dark and Light, I think, is that it's not going to be just Arc. It's going to be different. It's going to have like more depth to it, like an MMO like depth, like a sandbox MMO in a survival game's clothing. I think that's what they're aiming for. Sort of like this melding of like Arc and the original Dark and Light, somewhere in between. You know what I mean?
That sounds awesome, actually. I mean, again, we don't usually give credit to Chinese for doing like innovative things, but that sounds pretty awesome.
That's the vibe that I get when I look at this and when I hear about it. I obviously don't know because none of us have played it, but that's the vibe I get, and you can see it in the pictures that they've put up on the Dark and Light thing. Because one of the big things about the original Dark and Light was that it was this massive world that you could fly around on a dragon, right, or any other thing, and you could fly really fucking high. You know, you can see that in the screenshots that Arahan is going through on the podcast.
Those look gorgeous.
I mean, you can really see that it's kind of encapsulating what Dark and Light originally wanted to be, while not being what Dark and Light originally wanted. And
games up in their game.
And I don't know for sure that it's going to be buy to play in China because I mean, as you've said, Arc is already going free to play in China because even Arc they thought apparently couldn't do well as a free to play game or as a buy to play game in China, but we will see, we'll see.
And this is the first game that, Snell Games is really introducing in the West. First PC game since Age of Wushu. I mean, since then, the only things they've done are mobile, and those are even relatively recently, too. Prior to Age of Wushu, they had, 5 Street, right? And, that was it. Did they have anything else before Age of Wushu that was, even recent?
I think they had some browser games.
Yeah.
They had Age of Armor. What are we talking about?
Oh, my God.
Oh, right, Age of Armor. That was out for, a year.
Yeah, that was a duker.
Come on, guys. Don't forget Age of Armor.
No, 5 Street though is a top quality game. I did a first look for it. Definitely
Black Gold was after Age of Wushu.
Oh, Black Gold Online. That game is still around in China too. I
saw.
Oh
my god! Yeah. You know what's crazy about Black Gold? I was watching PvP videos the other day because I just got curious because
there's more than one player in the game to PvP with. What? Come on.
No, I was looking at them from 2014 or something. Anyways. It looks really good if you get to PvP. The PvP looks awesome with these giant mechanical monsters fight, not monsters, but walking tanks basically fighting each other. But yeah, it takes a long time to get there. But anyways, back to Dark and Light. So the current speculation is that it'll be out sometime in January.
That's pretty quick. And, I know, last week or maybe the week before, we had a discussion about, my concept of perhaps progression in MMORPGs in the future. And I really do see this whole sandbox, Rust genre kind of game merging with MMORPGs to create, the next generation where, progress in this world and, character development and gameplay is not boxed in by just numbers and this busy UI. We don't need that for it to be an MMORPG. So maybe Dark and Light can pave the future and I'm not saying that's the complete end goal, but if we have a nice persistent servers with somebody, and you guys mentioned you guys threw some random numbers around. I don't know what the number will be, but we're getting
500 would be nice.
500 would probably be bigger than a lot of servers for a lot of games.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so that's the kind of it's good progress. It's good progress. It's so nice to see a Chinese company, especially, kind of paving the frontier rather than just instantly copying what's already available.
Yeah, we're doing this for Sunday Funday. The moment it gets to early access, does that sound like a plan?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I don't remember if we talked about it, right? But or at least we didn't talk about it a whole lot. If we did, like Darkfall before it, it will allow you to level up literally every skill. You can it'll take forever, they say, but you can level up literally every skill. You can learn a ton of magic, and the magic it'll be used in different ways. I don't remember what it says on the page, but it sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, I want to play now. The trailer, the screenshots made it look gorgeous, and I'm usually pretty shy about paying for games, but for some reason I've been able to swallow the pill with survival games. I feel like I get my my dollar's worth for the most time with those.
And my only issue with them has always been somehow they don't feel permanent. So if this game does add the whole abilities and bigger server cost and all server numbers and stuff, I think it'll fulfill my need. So yeah, again, I'm very hopeful for this kind of game to be the future of the genre.
All right, more importantly, on the topic of Snail Games, okay, so does anybody else find it weird that they're suddenly pushing for Steam? Because they had Age of Wushu on Steam, but something happened. Like, I think the Steam community kind of rejected it or something, right? And they took it off Steam, and it was a pretty dramatic thing. But now, with Dark and Light, and even with the Chinese release of Arc, they're going like Steam exclusive.
No, here's the issue. Here's the issue right away. What the fuck was the deal with Age of Wushu and Age of Wulin? It was the same exact game. One was published by WebZen and one was published by Snail Games. Why?
Age of Wulin is the European one.
But that fragmentation of the player base just makes me want to choke someone. It's such a bad idea. Maybe Age of Wulin didn't want Age of Wushu to be on Steam because a lot of European users use Steam and they'll end up playing the Age of Wushu version. Maybe.
I don't know, but it's just odd to me that they're pushing these on Steam when it was such a big deal before.
Well, I think they realize if they're going buy to play on PC, you need Steam. Like, you know,
if there is no other buy to play, like
if you're
network.
free to play, you know, whatever. Maybe people can, you know, try your game because it's free. Who cares? But if you're charging money, I think people want the ease of Steam, and they're just used to it here in the West.
So then, what about the Arc China?
Well, nothing costs money in China retail games. So if they're doing the same policy, they probably just don't know how. There's probably no channel to. There's no, by channel I mean method, to charge for a game in China. So they go with the only guys who don't have any idea what they're doing with that. That's my guess.
But I mean, Arc China is going to be free and it's going Steam exclusive.
Okay, that I couldn't explain to you then. Is Steam in China?
They have
they have
the
Chinese games.
World version.
I know there's like a spin-off client that just launches Dota 2, right? But I didn't know they have like a general Steam like the way we have here. But I don't really know much about China.
But yeah, it's just odd to me. And I think the most interesting thing about the Chinese version of Arc is I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of cosmetics end up in the cash shop.
But again, with a game like that, who cares? You know, it's gonna be as long as it's not super gimmicky or it breaks immersion like hovercrafts, I'm okay.
All right, guys, I got to seize this moment to praise free to play because I've been championing free to play for literally forever now. But a recent report from Superdata came out, which has some fun statistics in it, which are well worth sharing.
Let's see.
So the headline number, which a lot of people got triggered by this number when I submitted to our MMO. But free to play MMOs have 92% of the MMO market and 87% of the revenue. So that's where all the money is right now, is in free to play, thanks to the huge market in Asia. But you have games like first of all, they define MMO similar to the way we define it, and they include games like League of Legends and Hearthstone, and they explain why those are MMOs. And if you're curious how we define MMO, check out our article on what defines an MMO.
And this is all very important because people got triggered by our Game of the Year, even though we specifically separated MMOs and MMORPGs.
Exactly. People don't want to read. Nobody wants to read because we specifically separated those two. But even on the MMORPG front, though, it's worth mentioning that of Dungeon Fighter Online this year, Dungeon Fighter Online is going to make more money than World of Warcraft, even with the giant launch. You know, they're going to make over $1.1 billion. And that, if you go to superdataresearch.com, it still shows they're making more money than World of Warcraft is number 4, by the way, on PC. Number 1 is League of Legends. Number 2 is Crossfire. Number 3 is DFO. And then number 4 is World of Warcraft. Then comes Now we're just looking at PC games, not MMOs, and you got Battlefield 1, Overwatch, World of Tanks, Dota 2, and so forth. But, you know, a game like DFO making more money than World of Warcraft can be shocking for a lot of people, and it's because the game is ginormous in China. Obviously, DFO in the West is not making that kind of money.
Yeah,
but free-to-play is minting money.
If you look at this chart I have of the free-to-play revenue by region, you know, it looks like, you know, Asia is the lion's share. You know, Europe and North America combined are, you know, less than half of Asia. So it's just definitely, and this is the reason so many games we see are from Korea and China, is because that's where the development strength and demand for these games are. So I don't think the influence of, you know, that style of game from the East is going to diminish anytime soon.
Look at that growth, though, free-to-play PC games from 2016 to 2019. It's only going to get bigger, you know?
Okay,
bigger and bigger.
Fair, that's a very misleading chart, though, on the left.
Yes, it is. It's not to scale at all. It makes it look like it's like
18.6 to 21.3 is not like 10 times bigger as it makes this chart. You know, this chart is suspect. And that's the thing. On the right, it looks like the scaling is correct.
Yeah, on the right side
on
is correct. On the left side is
region,
not.
the scaling is correct, but on the left, it's not. What is that about? So,
It's about
bad
quality
job,
misleading
Superdata.
charts.
Bad job, Superdata. Fix your shit.
But yeah, guys, this shows you that you gotta make a game, especially in Asia, it's gotta be free to play. But that's not necessarily true for the Western market, because as we see, the Western market is negligible, and obviously buy to play. There's plenty of room for buy to play and pay to play in the West. But if you're making a game in Asia, you're crazy not to make it free to play. The number I like there too is League makes $150 million a month. Then those numbers are year to date till November. So by the time the year ends, League will probably make over $2 billion. That's the first time I think a PC game is going to crack $2 billion in 1 year. It's nuts.
I still think in the long term in the West we're going to move towards buy to play.
I think buy to play had a chance, and now it's going free to play. I don't think we can turn the ship around.
Turn the beat around.
There was also another fun statistic that Superdata revealed. Let me see if we can find it. It showed you that it was showing Twitch versus YouTube as platforms for consuming gaming media. Let's see if you can find that good stuff. Now, basically, the story over there is pretty simple, that Twitch has surpassed YouTube in gaming revenue and users. More people are looking at gaming content through Twitch, and it's because of their model. Basically, if you look at how much money YouTube is making, it's entirely through advertisements, right? YouTube gaming, rather. They made about $1.6 billion through their platform in gaming revenue. So all the ads you see on their trailers and all the Let's Plays, all the videos we put on YouTube, for example, get some ad revenue. And then if you look at Twitch, they make basically all of their money, not from ad revenue, but from subscriptions and donations. I feel like that trend of pushing content creators to Twitch where they can monetize their content through donations and subscriptions is way more sustainable. You know, you have a better relationship with your audience. And because of that, it's really winning out. I mean, YouTube gaming is not sticking, and the data kind of proves it. You know, everyone's who goes to like YouTube gaming to watch streams? We all go on Twitch. I mean, I've been on YouTube gaming twice, like once when it launched and once like when I put this article up out of curiosity. And since then, I've never been to YouTube gaming.
I was there once to see what the interface looked like.
Did you
It's
approve?
awful. It's
Yeah,
awful.
exactly.
And
no
it's
reason.
okay. And here's where they shot themselves in the foot. Okay, YouTube is not a gaming community; it's a video content community.
Mm-hmm.
The streaming platform is gaming.youtube.com. It's a gaming streaming platform.
Mm-hmm.
I think they shot themselves in the foot.
You think they should have captured all like the vlogging and stuff to like all kinds of streaming, not just gaming?
That's a good point.
Yeah, they should. Why not, right?
Yeah, why they don't get what's with this gaming thing? Just do YouTube Live. Just call it YouTube Live, and just you can blog your life. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking could have been big on YouTube.
Could have.
If you look at the stats here are a little bit better too. If it compares Asia, North America, and Europe for gaming video content, it shows North America is pretty much on par with Asia for gaming video content in terms of monetization. So, obviously YouTube and Twitch are still pretty big. I think Twitch is only going to increase their lead. YouTube was crazy to not buy on Twitch because everyone has their eyeballs on Twitch for this. YouTube's gaming monopoly is over.
It should be noted that that's a problem with like every major streaming platform, whereas YouTube is kind of all-purpose and a lot of video repositories, as I'll call them, are multi-purpose. Like every streaming platform, the major ones, they're all very specific to one market. So you have like Twitch and YouTube Gaming are for gaming, and then you have like, what's it called? There's another site that is explicitly for art, and you're only allowed to stream like 1 hour of gaming to like as a break every now and then. So if you want to stop doing the art thing but you still want to stream, you can like game for an hour, but then they require you to go back to art.
What the hell?
This is the problem with streaming sites, and that there's no general purpose one, or at least if there are no major general.
Twitch is trying to capture that market, Matt. They have an IRL category now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they added an in real life category.
Who's streaming IRL guys right now?
Well, this is smart on Twitch's part, because
it is.
YouTube took the chance that they had and they squandered it. They went PewDiePie is our biggest person. Twitch is all gaming and they're big, so why don't we just make it all gaming? And they squandered it. They fucked that up big time. And when I first saw their streaming platform, and I saw YouTube Gaming, I'm like, what the fuck is YouTube doing?
I found somebody is streaming Frog Fractions, and he's got 3,000 viewers. I'm so jealous.
What? 2 or 1?
I don't know. It's the
Two
stupidest
isn't out
Flash
yet.
game in the world.
There's a 2 is like inside some other game.
I don't
What are
know.
you talking about? Frog Fractions is brilliant.
Man, I'm so glad you know what Frog Fractions is. What a great game. What a weird game, but like
How would I not know what that is? That's
It's
like
so
one of the
obscure,
biggest
come on.
indie games of recent
Wait,
times.
you guys didn't hear it? 2 is out.
hold on.
Yeah, it's inside a $20 Steam game.
What game?
It's like fairy something. Here, let me find it for you guys.
I'm just surprised you guys knew what Frog Fractions was. That was good shit, boys.
Everyone knows what
Man,
Frog
I'm
Fractions
impressed.
It's
I
not
know it
obscure.
was that big of a game. I thought it was a hilarious game though.
It was huge.
It's inside Glitter Mitten Groove. So
Anyway.
if you buy this Dookie Steam game for $20, you get you got to do something in the game, and you can play Frog Fractions too.
I linked Frog Fractions in our Twitch chat, so they can enjoy that quality
No,
content.
I think what you're missing is this is Frog Fraction. That's just their way of like gating the content to the actual Frog Fractions. That's what they did with the first game. It was like the first game was Frog Fractions literally, and then it was Frog Fractions the full game. Like you had to get out of the Frog Fractions game to get to the Frog Fractions game.
Whoa, there was more to what I was playing than this.
No, the original game was literally Frog Fraction. When you first started up, you're literally playing Frog Fraction.
This game,
Like-
Glitter More Groove. What? I'm confused.
No, when you first start up Frog Fractions, it's
Right.
literally a game of frogs and fractions.
Yes,
you're
yes,
literally
yes,
playing
yes,
Frog Fractions.
yes.
You had to get out of that. So this Glitter Mitten Grove is the Frog Fractions to Frog Fractions.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying.
You gotta play the game and then get out into Frog Fractions too. Yeah.
All right, that's enough Frog Fractions discussion, boys. I never thought we'd be discussing Frog Fractions for more than 10 seconds, ever, but we did it.
Great, it's brilliant.
It is
What are you
brilliant.
talking about?
I agree. I mean, but the thing is, most people aren't going to play that Flash game for more than 10 seconds to like realize there's more to it. Everyone's like, I'm so confused right now. When I linked them Frog Fractions, like, what the hell is this? It's like the weirdest thing. You have to be, I have to be like, wait, you got to commit like 5 minutes, like figuring out what to do, okay? And then the game gets more and more absurd as it goes on, and it's amazing.
I don't remember how long I played Frog Fractions before I finally figured out the like secret to it.
Yeah, you have to go down. Wait, there's got to be more to this.
I'm sitting there on like the dragon, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's this dragon there, right? And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but why do I have a dragon?
Game of the year, guys. Game of the year. Frog Fractions.
All right. Well, with that, Game of the Year, this year is coming to a close, and that means even this podcast must come to a close. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's it.
Well, if you
this
guys
week-
want to stick around for the overtime, we will do a quick drawing for the Viper VPN giveaway that was on the site for a while. And next week, hopefully, both Shu and Gumby should be able to join us.
Next week we'll have more to talk about because
Yeah, holidays kind of kept everything a little bit.
And,
Little bit iffy.
We'll also have our own New Year's stories to talk about, so don't go too crazy.
Oh.
You'll have to share it here.
before we go offline, just a quick note. So I forgot to write it today. So apparently Shards Online, they're aiming for a January alpha date, which means it'll be on Steam in January.
Nice.
All right, that's it.
All right, guys. So watch us live on Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. If you're already on Twitch, you can stick around for the after show. Like Omar said, we're giving away stuff. This time it's going to be VPN accounts, premium VPN accounts. So if you want freebies, do watch us live for keys, closed beta keys for upcoming games or little freebies like this. And with that, have a wonderful New Year's. Peace.
Have an awesome New Year's, guys. Later.
See you.